Welcome to the Big Match Breakdown Live. What have we just witnessed? Champions League alchemy, baby. Liverpool teach us the most important lesson about football and life, that we know nothing. Write them off at your peril. Take it from me. Liverpool always have the last laugh, as Trent Alexander-Arnold learnt to his peril. Mickey van der Ven scored a goal that was a clone of Son Heung-min's, a bit like Tom Brady's Pitbull. Junie is a clone of his family's late pet, Lua. Oh, I miss Lua, apparently. Chelsea stumble, but recover in Azerbaijan. Philip Walter Foden single-footedly did for Dortmund. Also, the whole football world saying Texas's Ricardo Pepi ties a Cristiano Ronaldo record. I crap you not. To break it all down, to joy to welcome, the continent of Europe in human form. It's the king of Horde from The Athletic. It's the great James Horncastle.
Great to be with you, Rog. The continent of Europe in human form, ravaged in some places. Definitely not others.
I think I'm underselling you. Right?
Full decline. Full decline in visibility of our listeners.
I meant it as a compliment, and then on second thoughts, I've done you dirty there, baby. James, we had a tweet from @RealSierraJuice who described your voice, also not hyperbolic, this person, a bit like me, described your voice like that of Charlton Heston, as Michelangelo in The Agony and the Ecstasy. He said, wanted to paint man as first intended, innocent, grateful for the gift of life. That's a big compliment. Will you take that one?
Yes. I mean, watching the Champions League games over the last two nights, Rog, was like being up on that sort of rickety scaffold, looking at the Sistine Chapel, but not being able to see the full thing, and gradually going blind and mad in the process.
Yeah, if you squinted at the Champions League, then I think you can pretty much squint it with some from a distance. But you know what? We're here to celebrate it all with you, dear viewers. We're not here alone. This is our Big Match Breakdown Live on YouTube, which means you, dear GFOPs, can be part of the show. Come on up. Ask James Horncastle, a.k.a. Charlton Heston, a.k.a. Michelangelo, about football or life. Scan the QR code, top left of your screen, get you into a Zoom with our producer Tony, one of the loveliest human beings in the world, who will get you set up to ask your question. Come and be with us, because, you know, it's lonely. Yeah, you know, we're all lonely. Get in the chat. We'll be reading it through the show. Get in the likes. Click on the little thumbs up at the bottom of the screen. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and join us in our channel. We've got a Ruben Amorim interview launching tomorrow and an Anton Semenyo banger coming on Friday. So come and be with us. Chat's humming. Dobbs Durkin. Double D says, beautiful day today. Loads of goals. Gunners got the job done yesterday. Nice day for some nice football. I once got caned at school for using the word nice in an essay. Christina Stott says, pulling double duty here. And Discord, God bless you. To the football. Before we begin, let me say Big Match Breakdown Live is presented by Football Manager 2026. Oh my Lord. Football Manager 26 launched yesterday across all platforms. Purchase it now. It will change your life. Larry Nance Jr., essentially my friend, get to an NBA season just by football managering every single minute of the day. It'll define your managerial destiny. Let's go back in time to last night, if you will, with me, James. Liverpool 1, Real Madrid 0. Look, this was a game in which we spent the entire run-up talking about who was coming back to Anfield. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Xavi Alonso also with him wearing a Real Madrid crest. But we ended up marvelling almost at what was back. The Anfield aura, the sense of self, the sense of swagger, the cheek, the belief, James. Second successive Liverpool victory over Real Madrid in the group stage. A game that really didn't, it didn't really go as we imagined. It wasn't an epic ballot. Trent didn't start. Kylian Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinicius were peripheral. One massive Madrid name who starred was Thibaut Courtois. Did what he does, lived through another plane of existence against Liverpool. Conor Bradley, exclamation point performance in Trent's old right back shoes. Florian Wirtz, a great game. Best night probably for him in a Liverpool jersey. And then Alexis McAllister scored with his head off a Szoboszlai set piece and celebrated with Trent's old iconic A-finger pose. It's not a goal now, James, until you win the memes at the same time.
Yeah, and I felt that Liverpool really wanted to win the memes after this game. Clearly, some of the coverage over the last few weeks has, I won't say rattled them, but they've not enjoyed it. And you saw Virgil van Dijk, sort of how he was being asked about, have you been in touch with Trent? You're going to talk to Trent? No, a flat no.
What do you think? What do you think about that? He was. I mean, by the way, we could do a whole show just about Virgil's incredibly ambassadorial post-game commitments. One where he just absolutely devastated Wayne Rooney to his face. It was, if you've not seen it, it is just utterly. I mean, it was like even watching Virg kill a man. But that line, which was intentional, it was delivered like Charlton Heston as Michelangelo. It was theatrical. There was a pause and then just no.
Yeah, as soon as the no came out of his mouth and you realized nothing else was going to follow it, it was like a smoking Magnum 9mm had just gone off, and then he was just blowing it. But all he had to do was sort of blow his fingers as if it was a weapon.
What was it? What was that? I don't like to read too much into two letters. That was, I mean, it's very hard, by the way, psychologically. Everyone knows this. When you just say little, like there's a human urge to actually say more and add more and be a pleaser. He just said, no, let the silence speak for him. It was devastating.
Yeah, it really was, particularly because it felt like Anfield had sort of thinned out by that time as well. Like they were the only people on the side of the pitch. So those two letters, as you say, just seemed to resonate all the more. And has left us with the kind of space to speculate what's it all about? Sort of, is it just the competitive animal in Virgil saying, right, that was the past, this is the present, we move on? Or is there something deeper there? But Arne Slot as well. I mean, he had Wayne Rooney. I mean, Rooney at the end of the broadcast was sort of metaphorically bloodied and battered because Slot said, I mean, obviously it's nice to win. It's nice to win games rather than lose them. Am I right?
As a manager. He said, by the way, there's an old video of Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney's an amazing man. Wayne Rooney writes poetry. Wayne Rooney he does, no joke, soulful human being. Last night, there's an old video of Wayne Rooney with his mates hanging out in his basement, putting on boxing gloves and punching the crap out of each other, and just getting knocked out and bloodied. He got more bloodied, more battered, more beaten last night in that post-game show than I think even in that clip. It's remarkable. He's an icon. Yesterday they treated him, an Everton icon, with utterly no respect, and it was the vengeance tour.
I think it was his toughest night of Anfield. He's played there. He's been kicked. He's had the fans against him. But I think nothing was more sort of devastating than what Virgil and Slot did to him.
I know. By the way, Arna's pretty brave because Arna clearly has not seen the Wayne Rooney boxing video. To say that to Wayne Rooney's face is not many people walk away. It was the cameras that were protecting Wayne from doing it.
Yeah, but also full credit to Van Dijk and Slot for the delivery. I mean, we spent about 5 minutes discussing Virgil's delivery, but the way Slot just sort of
looked at him.
I mean, the timing of it for him to then make the comment and then just let it sink in for everybody. I mean, was that more impressive than the performance on the pitch? I mean, one doesn't happen without the other. But
what do you think? Do you think this explains why Liverpool had that 4-game losing streak? They weren't practicing the football. They were just doing method acting in training. They were just working at it. They were watching. Virgil's watching Taxi Driver, the second half of. I don't know what Arna's was. Arna's was more comic. Arna's was Jim Carrey-esque. It was remarkable. We are 10 minutes into this. We have not turned this. By the way, you've made me love this past 2 days of football just by breaking this down in every single regard. James Wilson says Rooney catching strays left and right. God bless. If only they were strays. They were, honestly, they were. I'm not saying, I mean, they were physical blows to his pride, to his being, to his essence. I mean, finish the man. Football Manager 26, decision of the match, another human drama. Trent, 81st minute, put in by his manager, Xabi Alonso, thrown into the cauldron of booze and badge kissing and Steven Gerrard, one-man team chants. Were you surprised that Xabi Alonso put him on, knowing how poor his team had been, knowing the taunting that awaited him? Or was this just like, lad, get in there, let's rip the Band-Aid off on this, better to get it out of the way now?
Well, particularly given that shortly before kickoff, and when Conor Bradley's name was read out on the tannoy, the chants for Conor Bradley were yes, supportive of Conor Bradley, quite pointed about him, the Liverpool right back, no longer being Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I suppose, it will not have escaped Xabi Alonso's attention that the mural of Trent, which is just it's not too far away from where they laid a wreath in tribute to Diego Jota on the eve of the game. But that had been graffitied, defiled with El Rat. El Rata.
Adios, El Rata. Just like, who needs Google Translate when you can just make crap up and everybody knows what they mean? It's a new language. Adios, El Rata.
I like to think that the kind of Benitez and Torres era at Liverpool served to teach Scousers enough Spanish for them to be able to, one day in the future, insult one of their own. But just to our listeners, just to sum up how absurd football is in 2025, or the world. You had PETA, the charity for the ethical treatment of animals, releasing a statement today saying that calling him a rat was discriminating against rats. These people are doorstep supermodels in furs and throw paint at them. We're just like, no, Liverpool, you have overstepped the mark in calling Trent a rat.
Adios, El Rata. I think Duolingo got some glitches. By the way, another aspect to this, Trent's mural was graffitied first thing in the morning with that famous phrase, adios, El Rata. Liverpool is a city. I was just there last week. Let's just say the local authorities, they mean well. They are not capable right now of emptying garbage cans on the regs. There's just leaves, piles of leaves everywhere all over the city that you just see old people just sliding around on because they just don't have the ability to, the manpower, the budget to do pretty well. And I have never seen Liverpool City Council move so quickly as when they dispatched the work crew to clean up Adios El Rata. That's what you need to do, Raw, to get attention, James, to get attention in the city of Liverpool. Is do it in Spanish.
Yeah, I was disappointed that nobody. I got a flight back from Milan today, where I've been for a couple of days, and there was a guy on the flight who was wearing a big sort of hat, which was the head of a llama. And I looked at that and I thought, it's disappointing no Liverpool fans sort of dressed up, fancy dress, particularly around Halloween, and dressed up as a rat, to go in the Kop. That's the sort of inventiveness you see in the European game. A group of fans deciding to sort of take out every rat costume in the Merseyside and Wirral area and just turning up at the game in it. But no, they chose to...
They spent all their money on baby dinosaurs for the derby. God bless. Adios, El Rata. Do you understand the reception that Trent got? This kid came through, one of their own, won everything, big dreaming, led the team at times, which was his dream, played some ethereal football. At the end of it, did the team in, there's no doubt, practiced his Spanish. He wouldn't have been adiosing El Rata. He's quite fluent. He kept the team in suspense, dragged it out when he knew what he was going, went for free. But the level of anger, the seething disappointment, do you understand it all?
I would if he'd gone to a Man City or, one of the sort of rivals that Liverpool have had historically and in the contemporary age, to go to Liverpool, to go to Real Madrid. You see it with Steve McManaman, you see it with particularly Michael Owen, and Michael Owen's talked about this. I encourage all of our listeners to go and seek out the interviews that Michael Owen's done in the last year about how he loved playing for Liverpool and then just became a pariah, and it's been really difficult for him to deal with. I think maybe it was certainly the atmosphere on Tuesday night, maybe it came in the context of this recently really bad run that Liverpool have been on. The signings that they've made, not just kind of Florian Wirtz or Kirkus, but players in his position, Frimpong, not being able to do it. And so I suppose to intimidate Trent, if they did, I don't know if they did, to intimidate the great Real Madrid as they came to Anfield, to put in their best performance of the season, I think it clearly mattered to Liverpool. We spoke about the Rooney comments that were made by Van Dijk. That last night clearly really mattered to the men.
It was like a venting, almost a release, a bloodletting, a separation from the darkness, the confusing darkness. 5 straight wins, 4 losses. The anger about Trent, which I coming from Liverpool, knowing so many Liverpool fans, I do understand it completely. But it's almost theological. It's almost like being a Liverpudlian is a religion, which it is for so many of my family. And Trent has kind of violated or threatened the core tenets of the religion, and he can't just be allowed to leave. Like this is like smarter human beings than me who are listening to this, who are theologians, will know the terms there. But there has to be an element of shunning, collective shunning. Like what's it in the religion? You have to turn him into an apostate almost. So you deepen the commitment of all those who still truly believe, who are left behind. It's a little highfalutin and a little mad what I've just said, but I really do believe it. Like it is such a mad, passionate quasi-religion that those who threaten its essence as superlative, they need to be like there has to be a shunning.
The excommunication. You will not be allowed back into the flock.
Yeah. Trent as Salman Rushdie. I wrote me a book, The Satanic Verses.
But as far as we know, there's no fatwa out on the life of Trent Alexander-Arnold.
El Latta. I don't know. Big news, footballing, it does feel, the pressing last night was ferocious, collective, intimidating. I don't know if it was one of those Liverpool so good or Madrid just so strangely off it, but it feels like Arne Slot's back in the process of finding out his best 11. Wirtz over Gakpo, the change from Villa. To me, this was the best Liverpool have worked as a collective. Wirtz, so much more versatile. That upside. Gakpo is wonderful but predictable. Fullbacks, Robbo and Connor for the foreseeable. That was really the massive takeaway from this game, James.
Yeah, spend 400 million gross and only use one player that you've signed. Really, bring back one player in Wirtz. Otherwise, between him and Ekitike, and it's the same team that won the championship, and it's a team that has had that midfield restored. Really, they've played occasionally together this season. Sometimes components of it have played in other positions to accommodate new signings, and they've looked a little bit out of sorts when they've done that. But yesterday, Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai really
so good.
And I think they showed last night that they, on their day, have a better midfield than Real Madrid, even when Real Madrid's midfield is at its peak. That's how good that Liverpool trio is. And it's been interesting to see Slot in these last 2 Champions League games sort of use Wirtz on the right against Frankfurt, and he did encouragingly well in that game, and then use him on the left in this game. And again, he seems to be making progress, being able to influence the game in a much better way than he was earlier in the season. And is that a surprise? It feels like there've been 10,000 games already this season. We're only in November. And if Florian Wirtz is starting to make some progress in his first Liverpool season after 3 months, then I think that's entirely normal.
It is 10,000 games. It's like almost Gladwellian. Roll on Sunday. The massive Manchester City showdown, as Madonna would say, truth or dare. To another incredible game in a different way. Slavia Prague 0, Arsenal Football Club 3. Really another match, another steel wall of wonder. Clean sheet City. Arsenal became the first English team in 55 years. I think Leeds were the last to not concede a goal in their opening 4 Champions League or European Cup games. Slavia Prague were unbeaten domestically. They were well drilled, but they didn't muster a shot on target until stoppage time, which seems to be the Arsenal way. James, we're watching something humanly transcendent. This is not normal. It's imperious. It's now Arteta ball. 8 successive clean sheets, all competitions for the Arsenal for the first time since 1903. This is not just tactics, is it, James? This is profound training, skill, elite team play, but above all, it's mindset.
Yeah, it's definitely mentality. And you could see that late in that game in Prague, where initially they have a penalty given against them, which was never a penalty. The VAR saw the light, said, get rid of it. But you could see Gabriel and the other Arsenal players really trying to influence the referee. A, because, they could see it wasn't a foul, but B, because they didn't want to give up a chance like that would end that run of clean sheets. And, Roger, I think people really take for granted how difficult it is to keep a clean sheet for this long that Arsenal have done it, because so many random things can happen again in a game. Someone can take a long shot, it deflects off someone, leaves your goalkeeper wrong-footed, something goes in off the post, a penalty gets given, which is a bit of an injustice. All of these things can happen, and yet they mitigate risk. They minimize things like that from happening to such an extent. You can't help but kind of marvel at it.
Yeah, I mean, we decry it, we mock it, we deride it, mostly because we don't understand what it takes from the inside. I think the players did not want that penalty. They want Granit Xhaka to be the one to break the clean sheet streak on at the weekend when Arsenal play Sunderland. I want to shout out 2 goals for makeshift striker Mikel Merino. Filled in for Gyökeres, got a muscle twinge. Beautiful penalty from our friend Bukayo Saka. Jenna had the chance to spend time with for a really beautiful conversation, which airs this Saturday evening on NBC Proper. I think it's like 5:30 on NBC Proper. Tune in for that beauty. It is, despite the fact that I'm in it, humanly magical. He is just a soulful human being. Another incredible move. Arsenal fans now, like Liverpool last season, having all the fun. That scamp Max Dowman came on the field. In the olden days, dude would have just simply been shoved out a cheeky chimney somewhere. But last night, aged just 15 years and 308 days, took the field, came the youngest ever player to grace the biggest stage in football, the Champions League. James, the only way I can make sense of this, because it is so profoundly existentially challenging, that's something I've dreamed of my whole life. Max Dowman's just done at the age of 15. Like, what have you got left in your life now? Is to remember Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart wrote his first musical score at the age of 5. So I guess Dowman's a little late.
He is, yeah, and he'll be reckoning with that. I think that's clearly he opens his locker at London Colney, and there is Midnight Sonata there. It's sort of just like, okay, still got a long way to go.
Who inspires you, Max? Mozart. Yeah, it is. It's Mozart. He's driving me crazy. Can't get out of my head. 5 he was.
No, I also, in this social media age where everything is on a social media platform super early and people claim to be experts about things that haven't really happened yet. I remember doing some TV a couple of years ago with Rio Ferdinand and Jolien Lescott. And both, definitely Rio's kids at the time were playing, I think one was playing in goal for Brighton. And, youth team football isn't really on TV in the UK. But they were both already. So Max must have been 12, 13. And they were like, this guy is unbelievable. I know. I had the same. My friend, my Arsenal supporting friend, Michael Cohen, not that one. He, every time I'm going to interview Mikel Arteta, I reach out to a bunch of my friends and be like, what should I ask him? And it was about 3 or 4 years ago. He's like, ask him, how soon is he going to give a debut to Max Dowman? I remember Googling him. Funny how Max Dowman was like 6 or 7 at the time. And I was like, I'll get back to that one. And I regret it. Michael, I regret it terribly. I could have been so ahead of this. I mean, Arsenal fans have been watching and waiting and longing for this moment. At the same time, Joan of Arc led an entire army at the age of 17. So when you think about that, get on it, Dowman. Yeah, I mean, he's.
It's amazing.
The thing is, in the modern day, it feels like people are becoming successful younger being put on the big platforms earlier, but you've just cited two, Mozart and Joan of Arc.
Yeah. Who motivates you? So I remember Brendan Rodgers was once asked who motivates him, who inspires him. He said, "I inspire myself." Max Dowman, which is just amazing. A, that happens, and B, that he forgot he had a microphone in front of him, had a camera on him as he said it. Max Dowman, I bet you he would say Mozart, of course, and then he'd look at the camera and be like, Joan of Arc, for real, 17, I've got to get on it, whole army. Arsenal, 4 clean sheets to start the Champions League. James, are Arsenal the best team in Europe right now?
Well, I think it's between them and Bayern, and they meet in the next Champions League round, don't they? Which, I think is the most exciting Champions League game in prospect this season, given how well those two teams are playing. To your answer, I do think Arsenal are a more mature team. They're further along in their project. They keep making progress in Europe. I mean, quarterfinal 2 years ago, semi-final last year. We're trending towards a final. And Bayern, I had my doubts. I was a little bit skeptical about Vincent Kompany. But
we'll get to that, man. We will. I've got a whole set of everything's about that man. Who inspires you, Vincent Kompany? Probably Max Dowman. I love this letter from our mailbag from the great GFOP Gil Rutledge, who wrote, "If only the United Strand was a gooner, 10 straight wins, he could be booking a second straight haircut right now." God bless. Gil also asked, is Mike Marino the best athlete to ever wear the number 23? That's a crazy question. Of course, that's Seamus Coleman. Gil, you know that. But Michael Jordan chose the number 23 because big Seamus Coleman wore the number 23. 10-man Tottenham 4. 11-man Copenhagen 0. Happiness, is that you? It's me, Tottenham. What a night. 4 big boy goals at home. The memory of a goal that Tottenham fans will talk about in whispered tones around warm winter fires for generations. Spurs 2-0 up, down to 10 men. Goal scorer Brennan Johnson got himself sent off for a clumsy foul in, I think, the 57th minute. The enigmatic Mickey van der Ven, a goal scorer posing as a centre-back like Steve Martin is a really, really good banjo player, or Natalie Portman dabbles in neuroscience, took possession on the edge of his own box and was like, sod it, this one's for the lads. Pretty sure lip readers will tell me that's what he said as he charged upfield, unleashing the NFL punt return of his lifetime. Blew past 4 Copenhagen players, twists, turns, that were like full-on Enter the Dragon, picked up pace. It was like the Silver Surfer at one point, I swear. And at a certain point, he was just like shattered. So he's like, sod it, I'm going to lash it home. James, this goal, the fact it was like a cover band version of Son Heung-min's 2019 Burnley goal, probably only made it all the more erotic for Spurs fans.
Yeah, I mean, as well, I always think it's great when people reinvent something or put their own take on it. And this is what Mickey did. And like, a lot of the last couple of years, we've talked about Mickey's sort of hamstrings. He's super quick, but the criticism of sort of him playing under Ange was asking him to do too much running with this high line, and it was making him sort of tweak his muscles or that sort of thing. Well, clearly Ange should have either played him deeper and said, "Run all you like," because magnificent from Mickey. I mean,
I love it. You take that it was a remake. It was like, was it Gus Van Sant who made a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho? Just made the whole film, but with no difference whatsoever. That is the ultimate homage. And I love Thomas Frank's immensely intelligent and I thought quite emotionally big, funny quip. He said, Mickey van der Ven can keep walking past me if he delivers like this. Spurs, 8 points from 4 unbeaten Champions League games. Xavi Simons had a big game. That club are possibly the most miserable yet successful football club in the world right now. I'd bite your arm off to have what they're having.
Yeah, I would as well. I always remember when Daniel Levy brought in Fabio Paratici, the Juventus sporting director, and Antonio Conte, and Spurs would often win, and it wouldn't be pretty, and the fans would be sort of unhappy with the performance, regardless of whether they got the 3 points. And yeah, I think Conte and Paratici couldn't understand it because these guys who'd come from Italian football had been just so hardwired into thinking, Winning isn't important. It's the only thing that counts. How you win doesn't matter. So what are you complaining about? And yeah, to see the atmosphere at some of these Tottenham home games, pretty remarkable, pretty toxic, you know, compared with their league form last year. And you know, I mean, for Thomas, you know, I first, people are talking about this being a big step from Brentford to Tottenham. It's certainly a bigger stadium, but I'm not sure it's like going from Brentford to Barcelona or Brentford to Real Madrid. You know, it's a little step up, really. And so, yeah, I don't know what entitles them to think that their team should be winning and playing the best football ever seen by anyone anywhere in the universe.
He's a beautiful man, Thomas Frank. Emotionally so bloody intelligent. I wish Spurs fans joy, or what approaches joy. I say it's an Everton man. Boom, my team. It's a lovely release, but you've tried that. Also, last night,
writing El Rata, a beautiful release.
Paris Saint-Germain 1, Bayern Munich 2. A rare PSG home loss. I think this is their third in 42 Champions League home games. Bayern Munich made it incredible 16 wins in 16 games this season. Is that good? A victory, which is really, I think, an early marker, a warning sign. God bless Luis Diaz. Everything Liverpool coming up roses right now. Scored 2 first-half goals, earns a red card for an ill-judged, borderline, deeply violent tackle on Hakimi, which left him in tears. It was the Gordie Howe hat-trick. James, you started to talk about Vincent Kompany. I'd love you to tell me how you understand him. He's just signed a contract extension at Bayern until 2029. He was a punchline at Burnley, thriving in Germany, where he's assembled really a superbly deep squad, pioneered load management, however you say that in German, has turned Bayern into really a Harry Kane tip clenched fist. How do you understand him? And what does his rise say about how we understand or misunderstand what is a good manager and what's a bad manager when we see one?
Well, I think with Kompany, remember when Burnley got relegated, playing a style that he wouldn't move from, people thought, how is this guy going from relegating a team from the Premier League to working with the biggest and best team in the Bundesliga, in Bayern? He's lucked out here. And certainly, I think the context of that appointment, they tried Bayern to hire Ralf Rangnick and been in talks with him for a fortnight before they appointed Kompany. And then Rangnick decided, nah, not for me. So there was always this feeling, okay, should Kompany get the job? And anyway, he wasn't first choice. And if he wins the Bundesliga with Bayern, well, that's par for the course. I remember in the sort of knockouts last year, Celtic almost put them out. And so, again, there was this feeling that they were flaky. But I think, you know, as with Sir Jim Ratcliffe on Ruben Amorim, you know, Sir Jim sort of said, whatever you think of Ruben, he's my boy for 3 years. And, you know, we'll judge him at the end of that. I think if you give managers time to sort of work, you do see results. And certainly with Bayern, he's got maybe a little bit more leeway to work on ideas than he would do at another club like Burnley, where, you know, sort of you're putting out fires all the time. You're trying to stay up. You know, you can maybe play at 70%, experimenting at Bayern and win things and be better in the long run for those experiments. And certainly 16 wins from 16 games suggests that they've sorted that out. I mean, the first half in Paris, they were incredible.
God bless. In other games Tuesday, shout out to Ricardo Pepi, Texas's finest. Came on as substitute in Athens, scored in stoppage time for PSV Eindhoven to earn a draw with Marinakis Olympiacos. A rebound from a free kick 3 minutes into stoppage time. This is incredible. It's his third result-changing goal in second half stoppage time in the Champions League, tying none less than Cristiano Ronaldo and Sergio Aguero for the most in the history of the competition. That's heady company for our boy. Also, US number 9, Flo Balogun scored his first ever Champions League goal, delivering the only score in a 1-0 win at Bodo Glimt, America. To today, quickly, let's start in Manchester. City 4, Dortmund 1. The Erling Haaland Memorial Derby, third place Bundesliga Dortmund to second place Premier League City. City hadn't lost a group stage game at home in 8 years. Dortmund had never won there. So it was no surprise, though. Dortmund began confidently. All it took was Phil Foden lashing one in from range. Really a palm stinger, a range finder, because a couple of minutes later picked up the ball on the edge of the area, acres of space, just caressed it home with lethal precision and the touch of a tender lover. It was really beautiful to watch. One-way traffic ensued. Erling Haaland, that raw milk and goal addict, facing his former family with his new one, but like Anakin Skywalker marching on the Jedi Temple, just like that. O'Reilly, smothered shot from close range, but within a minute, it was Savinho who rolled one across, Doku recycled, and Haaland peeled off to absolutely obliterate the ball. I said to him, how do you try and finish? He said, I try and break the net. That's what I thought of when he did this. Was this patricide, James?
I mean, your accent then just brought back memories of Dolph Lundgren playing Ivan Drago.
That's what I think of when I watch him.
I will break you.
Yeah. I mean, we're like Dolph Lundgren, but for reals.
I mean, his video that came out with the raw milk that you mentioned, the tomahawk steaks and the red light. It was almost a Rocky montage. I think that I would love if someone just cut that all together, put some sort of 80s kind of synth and guitar music to it. And it would be that's what we want.
We want to see him pounding the meat carcasses in the deep freeze. 32nd Champions League goal in 34 Champions League games, scoring in 5 Champions League games straight for 3 separate teams. And now this, Holland has scored, 27 goals in 16 games this season. These numbers, James, they feel almost made up. We can't even conceive.
Yeah, and also, I think in that video, you see how hard he works. All like kind of little things, really, but little things that add up to a lot and add up to that rate of goal scoring that you've just said. I mean, I think it'll be very difficult. If he carries on like this, he has to be in the Ballon d'Or conversation. I think, people will obviously have their focus distracted by what happens at the World Cup in the summer, and Norway will be there. Norway have been absolutely hammering everyone, including Italy, in their qualification group. And so, if he has an incredible season goal-scoring wise with City and then shows up at the World Cup, and they're quite capable of pulling off some big upsets, Norway, then, I think he may well thrust himself into that Ballon d'Or conversation.
Him and Ilian Dye going to go mano. Has Erling Haaland made you think about whether you should start guzzling the raw milk and eating the fatty steaks?
I mean, I think he's taken my routine. I mean, I've been doing that for years.
The red light in the undies. We don't want to know. City 100% record in the Champions League this season continues. Newcastle, in the middling proud club derby, saw off Athletic Club. One of the stealth most beautiful goals of this round from Big Dan Burn, BDB. Ogde, stunning header from way downtown. Proof that a header can be as startling as a long-range banger, James. Did you see this? It was like watching a headbanger from 1980 Judas Priest concert level of awe. I'm in awe of Big Dan Burn's neck strength.
Yeah, this was also a ball that was just begging to be sort of headed. And it had that lovely time lapse to it where, you sort of see the camera over the shoulder of Dan Burn, and then he connects with it. And it felt like it took like 4 or 5 seconds to sort of angle its way into the net. Just very satisfying aesthetically, a great shot, great screenplay, great cinematography, Oscar, boom.
It did. It looked like CGI. It was that beautiful. Talking about things that are hard to believe. Bruges drew against defensively awash Barcelona 3-3. Some beautiful, beautiful goals in this one. It's like a goal dance-off between Lamine Yamal and a stunning performance by young Forbes, 21-year-old Portuguese, playing for Bruges. One of his goals, I think it was the final one, a phenomenally impudent chip. Kid was on loan at Wolves last season, but Barcelona's defensive woe make them truly humanly vulnerable. Inter, your mighty Italians, played Kairat Almaty Kazakh champions. Lautaro Martinez finished some slot with a plum 12th Champions League goal of the calendar year, which is, I think, the most in football. That's how we count them in calendar years. But second half, Ofri Arat made all of Kazakhstan scream Chinkwe, only for Inter to storm back through Carlos Augusto rangefinder. And a pitiful Ajax lost to 3 Victor Osimhen goals against Galatasaray. I want to ask you about this one. Atalanta won late at Marseille. First of all, Ademola Lookman and his coach Ivan Juric almost came to blows on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was surprising that Ademola Lookman came off when he did. It's about 15 minutes to go. It was still 0-0. He just had a goal disallowed. And it looked like a negative substitution because guess who brought on? Yunus Musa, one of your boys.
Yes, yeah. He's on the naughty step at the moment. Go on.
Not like for like in terms of Lookman and Musa. And so, yeah, there was a little bit of an altercation between Juric and Ademola. Ademola, who wanted to leave in the summer, was holding out to leave. The club stayed firm, said, no, we've already sold our top scorer. You're not going anywhere. So he missed a lot of pre-season. He's their best player, but he's having to play himself into fitness at the moment.
Aren't we all?
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm doing the raw milk, the tomahawk, and the red light without any of the exercise. So,
by the way, Mada still last minute in Marseille. Marseille had a penalty shout not given, ball bounced up. I think it was Edison on the hand. Looked nailed on penalty. Atalanta just rolled up the field. Laser Samardzik just unleashed from Steph Curry range. Chaos. Was it a penalty? Would the beauty of the goal be VAR'd off? And it stood. It almost felt like the ref only didn't give it because it was such a stunning strike. Finally, Karabakh 2. Chelsea, what? 2? To Azerbaijan, where a 6-hour flight and like thousands of miles. Is it 2,500, 3,000 miles from Chelsea to face Karabakh? Only your 12-time Azerbaijan Premier League winner in the Tofik Baramov Republican Stadium on Wednesday evening. 4th game of the league phase. Chelsea, surprise slayers of Benfica and Copenhagen Karabakh were bloody good in this one. Chelsea took the lead. Estevao became the first South American player to score in consecutive Champions League appearances, aged 18 or younger, cut inside onto his left foot like a young Iron Robin. But then Karabakh roared back stunningly. First, Leandro Andrade, the pride of Cape Verde, finished some really dreadful Chelsea defensive slop, and then a penalty from Jankovic on 39 minutes. Karabakh went into half-time 2-1 up. They were so composed. Felt like humiliation on the horizon for Enzo Maresca's team. He unleashed, I think, 4 new attacking players, changed the starting 5 almost entirely. Garnacho and Dalat made instant impact. God bless Garnacho, delivered off the bench. But Karabakh were excellent, remain in the hunt for the knockouts. Chelsea got work to do. I think, who do they play? Barcelona next. They'll have to go to Atalanta and Napoli. What is it for Chelsea in Europe? Is it the inexperience? This starting lineup, average age 23 years, 97 days, second youngest side from England in a Champions League away game. Is it just the greenness of youth?
Yeah, I think so. Getting there at 1 o'clock, being in the land of fire, feeling like you're sort of playing in a Tolkien kind of trilogy. You know, it's tough. I was very surprised by the mentality shown by the players on the pitch. When they were 2-1 down, Estevao was on the attack, lost the ball and went down, and the Chelsea players just stopped playing, expecting a free kick to be given. And no, the ref was like, play on, it's contact sport. Sort of Reece James then, sort of ran as fast as I've ever seen him run to sort of confront the Karabakh player who was carrying the ball forward, tackled him, got booked for it, and then had a go at him for basically not respecting Chelsea, the world champions, Trump's team. When one of their players was down injured. Come on, boys.
In the chat, Redheaded Redemption says Karabakh are now co-World Cup club champions. That's how it works. By the way, the stadium named after Tofik Baramov. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, the Russian linesman who's not Russian.
Yes, he's not Russian. England won the World Cup in 1966. For those who don't know, the schoolboy hero of every English kid growing up was a striker, Geoff Hurst, completed then the only hat-trick in finals history. Second goal remains deeply controversial. Took a shot, cannoned off the underside of the bar, either bounced on the line if you're German or over it if you're English. The only opinion that mattered was of the linesman, Tofik Baramov, who awarded the goal. And there's an apocryphal story that when Bakramov was on his deathbed, do you know this one? He was asked how he was so sure that it was a goal. This is obviously in the pre-VAR era, James. On his deathbed, how was it a goal? And he gave the one-word reply, Stalingrad.
I thought you were gonna do the Virgil van Dijk. No.
Stalingrad, the bloody World War II battle in which nearly 750,000 was it? Soviets died. I love football. By the way, how is there not a stadium in England named after Tofik Baramov? That's where they should build one. I don't know. One other lovely note, we are living and breathing in the golden days of Cypriot football. 23rd of October, Larnaca beat Crystal Palace 1-0 in the Conference League. I watched that game. Their fans were immense. Today, Paphos beat Villarreal 1-0. First ever win in the Champions League. Proper Yasu to all you fans. James, we are officially halfway through the whole Big Gulp League phase. Completion of the table, not completely surprising. A lot of English teams up and amidst the top there. Very quickly, we're going to take some questions very, very quickly. But what's been your greatest joy, your greatest surprise? What's thrilled you the most in this the opening 9 holes of the Big Gulp Champions League group stage?
I mean, it's watching Lamine really sort of. I mean, even tonight, go check out his kind of slaloming goal in Bruges, because
with Pedri, the flick.
Yeah, I mean, both on the same wavelength, sort of completely ESP, just like we're there, because it's perfect. Like it's really efficient and yet beautiful to watch. Lamine, 2-footed, sort of going around 4 players really, and then with the outside of the foot finish. But I just love how chaotic Barca are. Just like they have arguably the most talented player of the next 15 years, and yet this team can't defend and will not win the Champions League. You know, it's like I feel quite bad for Lamine in that case. I was there at the incredible semi-final between them and Inter, where he was unbelievable, and yet they still found a way to lose that game. And it feels like they will do the same.
It's so incredible watching him, all of that pressure, all of the haters wanting to fail, all of that, and he just does things as sublime as what he did tonight, so effortlessly and joyously. But if you ask him who his inspiration is, he'll say young Max Dowman, and I just love all of this. We're going to take a couple of quick calls through. I've loved listening to you tonight, James. You are the continent, all that's joyful in the continent of Europe in human form. But let's bring up the great Double D from Birmingham, Alabama. I've just told you what I'm going to ask you to tell me. I've ballsed it up, Dobbs Durkin. Tell us where you are and what's your question for the great James Horncastle. What I'm going to ask you to... I've ballsed it up, Dobbs Durkin. Tell us where you are and what's your question for the great James Horncastle. It's ventriloquism.
Hey, Raj, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, baby. That was really beautiful, hearing myself back like an arse. But we're with you now. Fire away. What's your question?
Am I here? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Are any of us really here?
Love the show. Just wanted to say that. Sorry. I'm from Birmingham, the home of the great Chris Richards. Just wanted to say that. Sorry. I'm good. We got a lot of echo.
What can you mute
from
your
the
computer?
YouTuber Erling Haaland and the revived Phil Foden versus a seemingly informed Liverpool this weekend, and also what happens to the earth when Arsenal concede a shot on target against Sunderland, or if they do?
Wow, these are deep philosophical questions. Just mute your incoming would be amazing, Double D. By the way, you've just nailed the other third Ballon d'Or. We've got Haaland, we've got Lamine, we've got possibly Lamine Yamal, we've got my man Ilian Dye in there, and of course Chris Richards. Those will be the top 4. Obviously, vote getters in the Ballon d'Or, James. What are you feeling about Manchester City and Liverpool? How do you even begin to think about those two sets of strengths and vulnerabilities colliding, James? And then we'll do the Arsenal one.
I love that they're both still vulnerable, that they're not these perfect teams that they were in the past, getting into the high 90s and even in 100 points. And it makes it really kind of difficult to call what's going to happen in that game. it'll be very interesting to see, Liverpool with this momentum now. What clips are they going to find from Erling Haaland that they're going to use? What are they going to workshop and storyboard in the next few days at Melwood to sort of for those post-match interviews that they're going to do when they've beaten Man City? That's what I'm curious about.
Be afraid, Wayne Rooney. Be very afraid.
Yeah, but I think of all the players on both those teams, the one that is most in form at the moment is Haaland, and the connection between him and Foden is as good as it's ever been. I think I was there at the Etihad for Man City Napoli, and again, just what those two can do in sort of tight spaces. There's no ball that is too far for Erling Haaland to stretch and get to. There's no tighter space that Phil Foden can't get out when he's in the form that he's in at the moment.
That's second goal, James. That's second goal tonight for Phil Foden when it was a slither of space, which he made an air pocket of space with his first move. But there were defenders surrounding him. There was a push in the back trying to fling him off balance. It didn't deter him at all. And the way he thought, there is a defender shielding me from the goalkeeper. I don't actually need to blast this like 99.97 of other players. I can just caress this. I can roll. It was the longest distance slow roller, but exquisite, lethal, precise, and quite wonderful. To see Phil Foden back would be, for me, one of the great redemption stories of this season. I do want to ask you about another player in this game. I think both of these teams, Double D, are all the more beautiful for being human and vulnerable. That's what's so fascinating about this clash, I think, at the weekend. I can't wait for it. I think both teams' fan bases are in for an absolute classic. But Donnarumma, City, we've laughed that they're almost just a team of two big men, one up top, one at the back. How are Italian fans experiencing his move to Manchester City? Italian fans have their own set of prejudices about England. I remember when Ravanelli moved to Middlesbrough early in the early Premier League, when the Premier League was a backwater, and he was one of the great players. He moved over. I remember reading an article in one of the Italian papers that just was essentially like, oh, it's so sad for Ravanelli that this is what his career's come to, that he has to play in England. Obviously, the tectonic plates have shifted since then in terms of the world power. But that move, the unexpected nature of the move, the rolling up at Pep Guardiola's City, the different style of play to what the strengths overtly are. How is he being received by the Italian media and understood?
Yeah, so I think two very different Premier Leagues to the one that Ravanelli went to and the one that Gigio Donnarumma is. Also, two different cities, Manchester and Middlesbrough, where Middlesbrough has the crime to Italian food that is the Parmo.
I just had one. I just had my first one last week. Can you just explain what a Parmo is? It's probably one of the most English dishes of all time. Parmo. Yeah. Do you want a Parmo?
Parmo. It's is it a chick? Did you have the chicken Parmo?
I did. It was in a bun. It's in a bun. It's I guess for Americans, it's like chicken parm, but they stick it in a burger bun. It was actually created by an American who was over there, like a former World War II veteran who happened to wash up in Middlesbrough and invented the Parmo.
Yeah, apparently this is how a lot of Italian cuisine, which Italians are very defensive about, actually happened. You're like carbonara and that sort of thing was, American GIs bringing the kind of ingredients that then became, oh yes, of course, this Roman dish is carbonara. But
in Spain in 100 years, they'll all be walking around just saying "Adios, el razzo." It's just sometimes it's the foreign import export. It's how it works, the cycle of life. But go on, how is he being seen?
But with Gigio, all of the best Italian players are being encouraged to come to the Premier League, and people. It's gone under the radar a little bit, but there are some very, very good Italian players playing in the Premier League. Be it Gigio, chosen to be the goalkeeper for Pep Guardiola, no less, the man with the highest standards of what a goalkeeper needs to do for a team that is coached by Pep Guardiola. Tonali at Newcastle, Kayode at Brentford, the right back with his long throws. He's been the talk of the Premier League this season. Sort of a teenager who scored the only goal when Italy won the under-17 Euros. So there is this feeling that for Italian football to progress, their best players need to play in the quote-unquote best league in the world, which is the Premier League. So Even Federico Chiesa, when he came on and scored that goal against Bournemouth on the opening night of the season, Giovanni Leone, the teenage centre-back that Liverpool signed for, I think, 30 million.
Oh, God bless, yeah. Calafiori.
Yeah, Calafiori. And that's a bit of a problem for the Italian clubs because they've never really had to face this before, Rog. A league that has been able to take their best players away best Italian players, because the likes of Juventus and Inter would always basically get to those players early and then they would never leave. I think one of the reasons Juventus find themselves in a bit of an identity crisis at the moment is they can't compete for these really good Italian players who would be the core of the next great Juventus team because they're all playing in the Premier League.
God bless. Your other question, I've just looked this one up, Dob Sturk, and I've just Googled it. About the shot, how the world would be changed if there is a shot on target against Arsenal in the Sunderland game. I Googled when a meteor hits Earth, and it depends on the size composition of the shot. Minor events that burn up in the atmosphere can have catastrophic impacts. I'm crapping myself now. There can be shock waves, thermal radiation, tsunamis, long-term climate change. Oh, as long as it's just long-term climate change, I'm all right with that, James. I think we'll be okay. We're going to pull this one together. God, I'm scared about the thermal shock waves, to be candid, when Xhaka hits that ball. Josh Youngerman, are you there, Bubs? If you are, remind us where you're from. Come on up with the great James Horncastle.
Hey, Raj, I'm in Brooklyn.
Yes, Arsenal's Josh Youngerman. You don't sound a bullying.
I play for Arsenal.
There you go.
I did play on the FIFA game, and I played at left back, and I ended up being a stud on the England national team. So,
how old were you when you broke into the Arsenal team? Were you
23? I was a 23-year-old, sort of journeyman.
Finished. Oh
man! I ended
up
scoring 10 goals.
Max Downman would have no respect for you. Too old.
Yeah.
Josh, you're a beautiful man. What's your question for the great James
Horncastle? So let's say the inevitable happens, which Arsenal go on and win the double. Do you think that I'm looking at Ballon d'Or candidates for Arsenal? Do you think that Declan Rice has a shot at possibly winning a Ballon d'Or, considering the amount of goal contributions he's going to have, and also he'll be playing for the England national team in the summer?
Which will be probably the thing that stops him from winning the Ballon d'Or. No, I mean, I think Arsenal's problem for candidates for the Ballon d'Or is that there are so many good contributors to what Arsenal are doing at the moment. They'll split the vote, and someone else will stand out. And I think it's always difficult even though we've seen a player like Rodri or Luka Modric win the Ballon d'Or recently. Usually this will skew towards attacking players. It will skew towards the guys who score the most goals in the Champions League and the World Cup, which is why, again, I think, people don't talk about it really. Mbappe hasn't really been in the Ballon d'Or conversation for a few years. He's sort of tracking the Haaland numbers. But I think Mbappe with France has a better chance of doing something in the World Cup than Erling does with Norway, and even Deck with England. Although I'm quite bullish about England's chances going to this World Cup. So I think it'll be I think you'd get very long odds on Declan Rice winning the Ballon d'Or, and that's purely because midfielders don't win it often, and we're all distracted by goals.
God bless. That's why we're saying Forbes tonight. Forbes is my tip for the Ballon d'Or. You heard it here first. Josh Youngerman, it is lovely to be here. I watched Declan Rice with such admiration, man. He is a hand grenade of a footballer in the greatest of ways. That is it for tonight. I think, James, you have made a night of football that was not a barnstormer, if we're being candid. You've made it, there's been a breadth of conversation here. Much of it from you, deeply intelligent, much of it from me, I would say muddying the waters. But reminder, our interview with the magical Ruben Amorim drops tomorrow on this YouTube. Anton Semenyo, a really stunningly philosophical life art Anton Semenyo. I enjoyed him greatly. He pops up on Friday. Get those calls into our big weekend preview show. We can ask us your footballing questions about the weekend ahead. 646 450 9472. 646 450 9472. Look, I've got my phone here. Thank you for being here with us this evening. It is such a joy to be with you, James. It really is, mate.
It's always a pleasure. I just, it feels like we were born to do this, but we weren't doing it when we were both the ages of 5.
I know. Oh, you should have heard James and me when we were 15. Then we really had it, right? Can you imagine if we did it when we were 15? It would just be so unbelievably, oh my God, the things that filled my head. Let's just say they were not Max Dowman things. Godspeed to you. Let's never take a minute of watching football together for granted. Big love, courage.